We need the support and help of the leadership in the House to be able to get this to the floor and get it passed so that we can get it done. Thank you very much, Mr. President.
Senator from Maryland.
Mr. President, let me compliment Senator Stabenow for her leadership as chair of the Agriculture Committee. I want you to know, Senator, I was on the phone yesterday with our soil conservation district managers talking about the provisions that were in the Senate bill, and I want to personally thank you for reaching out to all of us. Our negotiations were tough, but were fair, and the reforms that you have in, I believe, will help our region and all the regions of our country deal with the underlying problems of agriculture in America. So I particularly want to thank you for that. The process is how the legislative process should work. It's a very open process, very bipartisan process. We have a good product, and I hope that the House will bring forward a bill, get to conference so that we can continue the dialogue. It's important that we give the predictability to our farmers that a 5-year reauthorization bill can do. So I just wanted to first thank you for your extraordinary leadership in this area for the agricultural community of my state of Maryland. But I really came to the floor to talk about another one of your efforts today, and that is to Bring Jobs Home Act. And I thank you for, thank Senator Stabenow for her leadership there, because I tell you, Senator Stabenow understands that outsourcing is devastating to our country. Americans understand that. Marylanders understand that. When we're outsourcing, we're losing jobs. Families are devastated by outsourcing. And what is most shocking is that our laws should not encourage companies to take jobs out of America. Our tax code should encourage companies to keep their workers here in the United States. So we need to make it in America. I think we were all shocked to hear about the U.S. Olympic team and the fact that they're going to be outfitted by clothing manufactured in China. That's outrageous. Never should have happened. We can make it in America. I must tell you, I hear from people in Maryland all the time. I'm sure you hear the same thing from New Mexico. I know my colleagues here from Colorado. When you get a call from a call center and you think the person's in your neighborhood talking to you about a local issue, and then you discover that person's halfway around the world pretending really to be your neighbor and friend or representing a local business, when in reality we've outsourced that service. Not we, the company has outsourced it. And the worst way, they don't even tell you about it. They're really misleading the consumers. And I know we have some legislation here to correct that. But that's outsourcing. That's costing America jobs. And it's wrong. We can compete. Americans can compete with any other workforce in any other country as long as we have a level playing field. So we want to make it in America. Yes, we can. And let me just tell you first some success stories. Not too long ago, I visited Marlin Steel in Baltimore City. This is a steel wire manufacturer that uses raw material from America and manufactures their product in America in Baltimore City, a high-quality wire steel product, sells their product in America, exports their product to other countries, and creates more jobs here in America. That's a success story, Mr. President. And that's the type of story, a lot of people have given up on steel. We can't give up on steel. We need to make it in America. Let me tell you about another success story. Tomorrow I'm going to be at English American Tailoring, which is located in Westminster right near Baltimore in Maryland. Well, they manufacture suits in America. They make it in America. We're able to do it. All they ask for is a level playing field. And, Mr. President, we took some steps in the Senate Finance Committee yesterday to give that level playing field by what we call the Wool Trust Fund, which deals with inverse tariffs. We must make sure that our laws are fair. The shocking thing about clothing, it actually have higher tariffs on the raw material, making it impossible to manufacture in America than the finished product coming into America. Now, we correct that with the Wool Trust Fund, and we need to make sure that we have a level playing field. Let me tell you another success story. The Pacific Trade International. This is a success story. This company was located in Asia, an American company, located in Asia, making candles that were known as the Chesapeake Bay candles, being made in Asia. Well, this is a success story. They're back in Maryland, in Glen Burnie, Maryland, in the United States of America, making those candles, selling them to Kohl's and Target and other retailers, creating jobs, 100 jobs that are now in my state of Maryland as a result of this company bringing jobs back to America. In the last 28 months alone, we've seen 500,000 new manufacturing jobs in America. We've talked about the U.S. auto manufacturing industry and how we've seen that industry take off because we can make it in America. Well, that brings me to the efforts of Senator Stabenow and others to Bring Jobs Home Act. It is shocking, and I think my people in Maryland and around the nation are shocked to understand that our tax code actually encourages companies to take jobs overseas. American taxpayers are actually footing the bill because under current law, if an American company decides to take its jobs and export them overseas, the moving costs are deductible from our tax code. Why do we allow that? Why do we ask the taxpayers to subsidize moving jobs overseas? Well, the Bring Jobs Home Act says let's get rid of that tax deduction. Instead, let's make sure that if you bring jobs back to America, yes, we'll consider that necessary expenses. We don't consider it necessary business expenses to export your jobs, and we'll give you some additional help with a 20% credit. That's what we should be doing. Policies that encourage keeping jobs here in America. Make it in America. Yes, we can. We're going to have a chance to bring this bill forward, and I hope my colleagues will support that. And then let's try to move this bill quickly. Look, this is a pretty simple bill. It does three things. Eliminates the deduction for moving jobs overseas. Make sure we have that deduction if you bring jobs back home, and provide a credit for part of the cost to bring the jobs back home. Very simple. Why don't we keep it that way? Why don't we just pass that bill by itself and do something about saving and creating jobs here in America? I would urge my colleagues, this shouldn't be a partisan issue. We all know that we've got to keep jobs here in America. This is a simple bill. Let's get it done. Let's not confuse it. Let's not mix it up with other issues. Let's show the American people that we can act in the best interest of our country. And with that, Mr. President, I would yield the floor.
Senator from Colorado is recognized.
Mr. President, let me commend my colleague from Maryland with his single-minded and crucial focus on jobs here in America. And I rise to speak about another opportunity to make stuff in America, and that has to do with the harvesting of the wind that we can do here in America and keep jobs here in America. I have been rising every day the Senate's been in session, Mr. President, to talk about the necessity of extending the production tax credit for wind power. And every day I come to the floor of the Senate to talk about a different state and how important wind energy is to supporting economic growth and job creation in those individual states. Today marks the 11th time I've come to the floor to urge all of us, all of my colleagues, to act by extending the PTC for wind. And today I'm going to talk about my 9th state out of 50. And I just want to say, in case anybody's wondering, I'm not tired yet. I'm committed to coming to the floor until Congress does what our constituents expect us to do, and that's to extend the production tax credit. It's simply that important. If we fail to extend the PTC, Mr. President, our economy will suffer, jobs will be lost, and our clean energy leadership will truly be in jeopardy when you look across the world. So where are we going to travel to today, Mr. President? We're going to go to the great state of Georgia. The wind industry in Georgia has quickly multiplied over the last few years. Nearly 1,000 wind energy jobs have been created. And equally important, there's real potential for significant continued growth. And I want to focus on ZF Wind, which invested nearly $100 million in a manufacturing plant in the city of Gainesville, Georgia, which is located northeast of Atlanta. This new plant will manufacture gearboxes for wind turbines, and that will bring several hundred really good-paying jobs to Georgia. Now, ZF Wind is a German-based manufacturer. They made the decision to invest in Georgia and in America. So I just have to ask my colleagues, if a foreign company can see the potential for wind energy in America, why can't we here in the United States Senate? Do we really want to turn these jobs away? If Congress doesn't decide to invest in America by extending the production tax credit, I have no doubt that these jobs will be shipped back overseas. But if we continue to support wind industry, the wind energy industry, Mr. President, ZF's gearboxes will be shipped all over our country. And in fact, in the interest of full disclosure, I would say that ZF is a major supplier of gearboxes for Vestas, which has a large manufacturing presence in my home state of Colorado. And the point I want to make is that this is one small example of the supply chain, the wind energy supply chain that's being built up all over our country and extends in every direction. Let me share another example of what's happening in Georgia. There's a small town of Tybee Island, which is located on the northeastern coast of Georgia. And if I have my geography right, that would be up in this area, Mr. President. They've taken a stand to show how important wind energy is to their future. In February, their city council passed a resolution recognizing the importance of Georgia's on- and offshore wind resources. And Tybee Island is saying, look, let's encourage the development of wind energy projects near our community and all over Georgia. They see that Georgia has enough offshore wind potential to power over 1 million homes. 1 million homes could be powered solely from Georgia's offshore wind potential. That's significant. And, Mr. President, we need all of us, all across our country, all of us elected officials, to stand up for the future of American manufacturing and energy. It's an economic and environmental imperative, and the choice, frankly, is really stark. If we don't act, to extend the production tax credit and it expires, 37,000 jobs may be lost around our country. However, if we extend the PTC, conservative estimates suggest 54,000 jobs would be created. That's the choice, job loss or job creation. I can tell you what I know the answer will be in Colorado: extend the PTC. And without the PTC, foreign countries will extend their energy advantage over the United States. Manufacturing jobs that could be created here, should be created here, will go instead to China and other foreign competitors. Mr. President, there's just simply no reason to do that. Instead, we need to extend the PTC. The PTC equals jobs. We ought to pass it as soon as possible. I want to end on this note. This is not a partisan issue. The production tax credit's long been a bipartisan idea. Senator Grassley from Ohio, our colleague who served for many years here with great distinction in the Senate, supported this idea, brought this idea forth almost 20 years ago, along with others. So now more than ever, the American people are asking us to take action and to invest in clean, renewable, made-in-America energy. Let's not let the production tax credit be a casualty of election year gridlock. Now is the time for us to do the right thing, extend the PTC. And I'm going to keep coming back here until we do so. I'm enjoying the tour of our great country, the United States of America. Every state has a wind energy stake in the future. Let's extend the wind PTC as soon as possible to protect American jobs before it is too late. Thank you, Mr. President. I yield the floor, and I note the absence of a quorum.
The clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Gaga.
President.
Senator from Kansas is recognized.
Mr. President, I ask that the quorum call be dispensed with.
Without objection, so ordered.
Mr. President, I ask unanimous consent to address the Senate as if in morning business.
So ordered.
Mr. President, thank you. Koch Industries is a company that's headquartered in Wichita, Kansas, and is an American job creator that employs 2,600 citizens of my state. The corporation, a long-standing U.S. manufacturing company, employs around 50,000 people with good-paying jobs across the country, including around 15,000 employees who are represented by unions. Depending on the year, Koch Industries is either the first or second largest privately held company in America with about $100 billion in revenues. I'm pleased by its presence in our state, where the company and its owners are respected corporate citizens. The Koch family, the owners of Koch Industries, have made a statewide impact through foundations and charitable work, which has given millions of dollars to help education of the poor, at-risk youth, the arts, and environmental causes. The investments they make primarily goes to Kansas and to Kansas citizens. And I'm grateful that this country has chosen to invest in our state's economy and its people. And I'm pleased that they're a corporate citizen of Kansas. During the debate this week of the Disclose Act, Koch Industries and its owners were mentioned numerous times. And while I could come to the floor and complain about the lack of balance, if we're having a debate about the desirability of disclosing contributions to political causes, certainly the debate that I heard on the Senate floor, the rhetoric was about those who contribute to what are described as conservative causes, free market causes. And I could come to the floor and complain about the lack of balance in that discussion. But in my view, if we're going to have a discussion about the Disclose Act, what we really ought to all stand up for is the opportunity for free speech, the opportunity for those of a variety of political points of view to be able to express those views in the political process. And those positions, the ability to do that, perhaps not the positions, but the ability to promote your position ought to be something defended by all. We need more participation in American democracy, not less. And in my view, the discussion that we had this week was a distraction from the real issues that our country faces, mostly related to the economy and job creation. So rather than spending our time on the Senate floor discussing the Disclose Act, in my view, we should be on the Senate floor creating policies that put in place those that Koch Industries have distributed and have indicated, have shown in my state to create jobs, rather than arguing about the political contributions of those job creators. So, Mr. President, I come to the floor today to suggest that, one, Koch Industries is a great corporate citizen of the state of Kansas, contributing in many ways to the economy and to the well-being of our citizens. To suggest that if we're going to have a debate about the Disclose Act, that there be some balance, and that those who believe in free speech and participation democracy ought to always rise to the occasion to defend those who engage in the political process. And finally, to suggest that rather than having a debate about the Disclose Act, what we should be doing is finding ways to replicate what the founders and shareholders of Koch Industries have done in Kansas, the United States, and around the globe, create jobs for Americans in our country's economy. We're off track here. It's time for us to get back on track and to focus on what matters: a growing economy, that we can help families across America put food on their family's table, save for their kids' education, save for their own retirement, and promote a free market enterprise system that does just that. Mr. President, I yield the floor. Before doing that, I notice the absence of a quorum.
Clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Akaka.
Mr. President.
Senator from Oregon is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. I ask that the quorum call be vitiated.
Without objection, so ordered.
Thank you. I ask unanimous consent that the privileges of the floor be granted to a member of my staff, Stephen Kirby, who is serving as an intern this summer for the balance of today.
Without objection, so ordered.
Thank you, Mr. President. I note the absence of quorum.
Clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Akaka.